Just when you thought the New York Islanders couldn't get any more exciting and dramatic, they score a shorthanded overtime game winner. We'll have our key takeaways from the game and a preview of both of this weekend's big games. All of that and more on today's Locked On Islanders podcast.
Your Locked On Islanders, your daily podcast on the New York Islanders. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Gil Martin here. Welcome, everybody, to the Friday edition of the Locked On Islanders podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I want to thank everyone who makes Locked On Islanders your first listen every day. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts so you never miss an episode. I also want to thank everyone for making the Locked On Podcast Network the #1 sports podcast network. I am Gil Martin. I've been covering the New York Islanders for almost 2 decades, and I wrote the book Ice Wars on the history of the Islanders' rivalry with the Rangers from 1972 to the modern era. So glad you could join us today to talk a little Islanders hockey, and we have got an action-packed show. Wow, the Islanders with an overtime shorthanded game-winning goal in a wild ride of a game. We'll have our key takeaways. We'll also have our hero and GOAT of the game, and we will preview both of this weekend's tough road games against Utah and Colorado. So lots to discuss. Look, let's start with Thursday night's game. Those of you who stayed up to watch it, it was worth staying up late. The New York Islanders get a shorthanded game-winning goal from JG Pageau to beat the Vegas Golden Knights 4-3. And look, this game had everything. There was skill, there was speed, there was size, although most of the size was to the advantage of the Vegas Golden Knights. The Islanders took a 2-0 lead, saw that lead disappear, fell behind 3-2, and again, this team showed so much resilience in this game, picking themselves up. You know, you fall behind 3-2 after you're holding a 2-0 lead against a team that is expected to be a Stanley Cup contender. You're on the road. It would have been so easy for this Islanders team to be deflated, to pout, to give up. And Patrick Roy pulls the goalie, pulls Sorokin for the 6th attacker, and lo and behold, Mathew Barzal scores the tying goal off a great feed from Matthew Schaefer, and the Islanders send it to overtime. And then, just when you thought it couldn't get more dramatic, both teams had some good scoring chances early in overtime, but the Islanders take one of those stupid penalties that we've seen them take too often in recent years. They're called for too many men on the ice in overtime. You're shorthanded, and you're ready to say, as an Islanders fan, oh no, here we go again. Right off the draw in the Islanders zone, JG Pageau wins the draw, gets to the puck first, skates all the way down the ice, uses the defenseman as a screen, and puts the puck into the net with a wicked shot, and the Islanders have a 4-3 win. And boy, I have to say, I love the resilience that this team showed. And it wasn't just tying the game late and winning the game in overtime. And let's be honest, how clutch has Mathew Barzal been lately? How clutch has JG Pageau been in recent weeks? This team is getting key contributions from key players and finding ways to win games. And let's face it, the Vegas Golden Knights are more skilled than the Islanders. They are more physical than the Islanders. They are bigger than the Islanders. And they are considered a better team on paper than the New York Islanders. And yet, the Islanders find a way to stay with it, come back and win this game. And think about this. It took the Islanders about 9 minutes and change to even register their first goal of the game. Shot on goal, of the game. And, they were getting outplayed, and yet, they were being outshot, 5 or 6 to nothing, and yet they find a way to hang in there. Ilya Sorokin came up with some really big saves, and you look at the box score, okay, and Sorokin's save percentage was .897. He had 26 saves and 29 shots. But I have to tell you, he came up big so many times. None of those 3 goals were soft. In overtime and in the third period, there were so many opportunities that Vegas had to put the game away, and Sorokin just came up with some spectacular saves. So the numbers are not great. They're not terrible at .897 save percentage. But if you saw this game, you realize that Ilya Sorokin is back on his horse, playing the kind of hockey that the New York Islanders need in order to win hockey games. And here we are. We talked about this road trip before it started, 7-game road trip. And my statement, everydayers will remember, I said, let's get 7 points minimum on this 7-game road trip. Well, we're 3 games in, and the Islanders have won all 3. They have 6 points already. They have 4 chances to get 1 more point to just meet that 500 long road trip standard. But now they have a chance to exceed that, to build on this, to extend the winning streak. And make no mistake about it, the improved play of Ilya Sorokin has a lot to do with why the Islanders are in the position they are in, having now won 3 straight games away from home against quality opponents, no less. The Devils and the Golden Knights, certainly quality opponents. The Rangers have been inconsistent, but look, you throw out the records. When the Islanders play the Rangers, it's just a challenge, regardless of how good the teams are. And the Islanders really shut down the Rangers at Madison Square Garden. So this has been a really great 3 games. Matthew Schaefer, a goal and an assist. Got to give him more credit. He is so even, he's excited, but he is so calm when he's on the ice. It's not that he's not enthusiastic. It's not that kind of calm. It's the kind of calm that comes with, I can handle this. I am confident in myself. I know I will find a way to get the job done. And boy, again, he leads the team in time on ice with 1 second less than 26 minutes of ice time. He scores a goal, sets up the game-tying goal, and just really gives the New York Islanders, he is sort of the catalyst that helps this team. And Bo Horvat doesn't score a goal in this game, but 2 helpers for Bo, who continues to just play exceptional hockey. So this is a team win. This team could have given up, didn't give up, and really showed why this edition of the New York Islanders is different. Even though a lot of the personnel is the same, this team is fundamentally different than the team we saw last season and the season before that. They may or may not make the playoffs this year, but boy, they are fun to watch. They have resilience. They have more speed. They are exciting, and they have found ways to win games like last night in Vegas that maybe they should not have won. And it is great to see this team get that done. Now, by the way, I did a little quick research right after the game ended, and I found two other regular season shorthanded overtime goals by the Islanders. There may be more, but these are the two that I was able to find. 1990, November 15th, Brent Sutter in Calgary with the shorthanded overtime winner. And then February 12th, 2002, Michael Pekka, a shorthanded overtime winner in Philadelphia. This one happens in Vegas by JG Pageau. So all three of the shorthanded overtime game-winning goals that I'm aware of came on the road. Go figure that one out. We have got a lot more to discuss on today's show. We'll have some more key takeaways. We'll also have our hero and go to the game. And we will preview both of this weekend's games. And for our Islanders birthday of the day, a defenseman who played for the Rangers and the Islanders. Let's see if you know who this Finnish defenseman who was with the Islanders in the late 80s and very early 90s is. We'll talk about him and his legacy, all that and a lot more coming up on today's Locked On Islanders podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by Monarch. Let's be honest, most of us can't even name all our financial accounts, let alone what they're worth. Between 401k, savings, and investments, it's easy to lose track, and that can mean leaving money on the table. That's why I started using Monarch. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or your phone. Monarch's visual dashboards and smart tools make it so much easier to understand where my money's going and how to make it work harder for me. And hey, if you and a significant other share accounts, you can review everything together and make better financial decisions. So don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONNHL at monarch.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarch.com, code LOCKEDONNHL for half off your first year. Check it out today. I got to say that this win, my confidence in this team is growing. It's not there yet. I'm not ready to say this team is a cup contender or even is going to make the playoffs, but with each game that they play better hockey, my confidence in this team just grows. And I have to say that they showed a lot of composure in this game. Now, the Islanders did put Adam Boqvist into the lineup. He only played a little more than 11 minutes. That's because Scott Mayfield, his wife, went into labor, so he flew back to New York. Boqvist was in, and Travis Mitchell was called up for the game, but he and Kyle McLean were healthy scratches. Max Shabanov still not ready. Again, he was skating on his own, but with the red no-contact jersey in Wednesday's practice. So he's getting closer, but he's still not there yet. But bottom line, Boqvist filled in. Didn't have the most eventful game. 11 minutes, 15 seconds. No shots, no blocks, no takeaways, no giveaways. But he didn't hurt the team either and gave them a solid 11 minutes and 15 seconds. Little tidbits from this game. Mathew Barzal winning 5 out of 8 faceoffs. Islanders did well in the dot. JG Pageau, 11 out of 18 faceoffs. So that was certainly helpful. If I'm looking at the hero and the GOAT of the game, I'm going to start with the GOAT, Patrick Waugh. Why? Islanders fall behind 3-2 on a goal in the third period by Riley Smith. And Waugh decides with 9 minutes and 15 seconds left to challenge the goal for goaltender interference. Now, every day, as you know, I've mentioned several times on this show, nobody knows how to define or what exactly goalie interference is. Putting that aside, it seems, according to every observer and every person I have spoken to and other people covering the sport, broadcasters, everybody seems to say that they are kind of going out of their way to not call goalie interference as easily as in the past. And if you look at that, on the play of the Riley Smith goal, yes, Kyle Palmieri was kind of pushed into the crease. There was minimal contact between Palmieri and Sorokin, and it didn't seem to significantly interfere with Sorokin's ability to make the save. If they would have called that goalie interference on the ice, it probably would have stood. If they called it a good goal on the ice, it probably would have stood. But you look at that replay, there just wasn't enough of contact to really expect that to be overturned. And if that is the case, you're down by 1 goal. You've got a little more than 9 minutes on the clock. You lose that challenge. That's a delay of game penalty on the Islanders. You're giving away about 22% of the remaining ice time in the game just to kill that penalty. And that's assuming you don't give up a power play goal, which thankfully they did not. But, it's a low percentage challenge. If there was a minute left in the game, I could have understood the challenge more because you almost have nothing to lose. But with 9 minutes left in the game, taking 2 minutes off and risking giving up a power play goal was just a very low percentage move. It was, the old expression, throwing away good money after bad. That's kind of what this was like. So, you got to pick your shots when you are trying to overturn a goal. And unfortunately, that is not what Patrick Roy did. He gambled. It didn't pay off. I get it. I understand the desperation of trying, but it was a low percentage move. Thankfully, they killed the penalty off and were able to come back and win. So my GOAT in that instance for that poor decision is Patrick Roy. Hero of the game is tough. I could go with Schaefer. He had a goal and an assist. I could certainly go with Barzal for the game tying goal. Sorokin was outstanding. I could certainly consider him. But I am going to go with JG Pageau for the game-winning, shorthanded, overtime goal. It was his only shot on goal. I talked about what he did in the face-off circle. Such a dramatic finish to this game. A veteran player stepping up and getting the job done. So, to me, JG Pageau has got to be the hero of the game. Not that there weren't other candidates. Patrick Roy has to be the GOAT. And, I hate to call this guy out also, but Casey Cizikas just struggling out there right now. And I don't know if he's playing hurt or if he's just in a slump or if maybe he's just, the physical toll on his body after all these seasons. He's just finally lost a step that he couldn't afford to lose. But Zeke, a -1, only out there for 6 minutes and 47 seconds. He was credited with 1 hit, and that was it. So, just it's sad to see because I've been a Casey Cizikas fan for a very long time. But, that his play needs to pick up, or the Islanders really need to consider sitting him at least for a few games and seeing if he can regroup. But boy, what a great win for the New York Islanders. 3 wins in a row. You go on the road. You're up against one of the better teams in the league. You blow a 2-0 lead. You come back and tie it. You win it in overtime, shorthanded. What a great finish to this game. And again, hopefully you build confidence and you go from there. That this team, it's not getting any easier. And hopefully they can maybe even just split these 2 games over the weekend. We're going to take a look at both of them. We're going to preview tonight's game in Utah, Sunday night's game in Colorado. We'll have that, plus our Islanders birthday of the day coming up next on today's Locked On Islanders podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by Drip Drop. When I'm hydrated, everything just works better. My focus, energy, mood, even my skin. That's why I've been using Drip Drop. It's a doctor-developed hydration that keeps me running at full power no matter what my day looks like. Drip Drop isn't your average sports drink. It delivers 3 times the electrolytes and half the sugar of leading brands using a science-backed formula trusted by medical professionals, firefighters, and over 90% of top collagen pro teams. I like using Drip Drop as part of my daily routine. I'll mix a packet in the morning and before I go into the pool to exercise, and it helps me during that midday slump. Hydration has become non-negotiable for me, and Drip Drop helps me feel sharper, calmer, and honestly just better overall. Right now, Drip Drop is offering podcast listeners 20% off of your first order. So go to dripdrop.com and use promo code LOCKEDONNHL. That's dripdrop.com, promo code LOCKEDONNHL for 20% off. Stock up now before the heat hits hard and keep your body and mind performing at their best with Drip Drop. Today's episode is also brought to you by Game Time. Hockey season is officially here, and nothing beats being in the arena for those opening games. But let's be real, getting tickets can be a total headache. Between waiting in queues, surprise fees, and prices that jump right before checkout, it's easy to get frustrated when all you want to do is cheer on your team. That's where Game Time comes in, the app that gives fans the advantage. It's your ultimate life hack for scoring amazing NHL tickets fast, easy, and stress-free. I love that what you see is what you pay. There are no hidden fees at checkout, and their zone deals are a game changer. You pick the section, Game Time picks your seats, and you save big. You could even find NHL tickets for under $25. So take the guesswork out of buying NHL tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. That's code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Game Time. 2 big games now for the Islanders this weekend as they continue this West Coast part of the 5-game road trip. And wow, this one is going to be tough. The Utah Mammoth, formerly the Utah Hockey Club, well, they are playing some pretty good hockey this year. They're going to fight for a playoff berth. They're coming off their last game. They've been resting now since Wednesday when they beat Buffalo 5-2. So the Islanders heading out to Utah for this game. And with the Mammoth right now, they're 10th in the league in goals scored, 20th in goals against. The penalty kill is kind of average. They're 14th in the league with 80% killed, but the power play is struggling, only 15.7%. That puts them at 27th in the league. Karol Vejmelka and Vitek Vanacek are the goaltending duo. And right now, Nick Schmaltz leading the team in goals with 10 and points with 21. But then you've got the younger guys, your Clayton Kellers, your Logan Coolies. These are players who really have helped Utah get their game to the next level. The line combinations, Cooley, Keller, and Schmaltz, a very dangerous top line. Barrett Hayton centers the second line with JJ Paterka to his left, Dylan Gunther to his right. The third line, Jack McBain, Lawson Krause, and Michael Carconi. And then on the fourth line, it's Kevin Stenlin, Brandon Tanev, and Kyler Yamamoto. On defense, it's Sergachev and Shimashev as your top pair. That's Dmitry Shimashev, Mikhail Sergachev. Nate Schmidt and John Marino are the middle pair, and Ian Cole and Nick DeSimone are the third pair. We mentioned the goaltenders, as in Vejmelka and Vanacek. On IR right now, Juuso Valimaki, Sean Durzi, and Alex Kerfoot. Not going to be easy. The thing about Utah to watch, they are skilled, fast, and young. So while Vegas kind of had a size advantage in addition to a skill advantage, this is more of a speed advantage for Utah. So this is an interesting test of Patrick Waugh's up-tempo system, and we'll see how that goes. Then Sunday night, the Islanders will be in Denver to take on the Avalanche. Now, the Avalanche are coming off a 6-3 win on Thursday night over the Buffalo Sabres. They're off until the Sunday night game against the Islanders. So the Islanders, again, will have a disadvantage in rest, although at least they'll have a day off. And Colorado, 12 wins, only 1 loss, and 5 overtime losses. They lead the league in goals scored, and they are second in goals against. I think that tells you everything you need to know about how good this team is. They're only 20th on the power play, 17.9%. The PK, however, is second with 88.9%. It is tough to beat them. Scott Wedgwood has been the big story. Wedgwood 10-1-0 on the season, a 2.26 goals against average, a 9.13 save percentage. You know the names. Nathan MacKinnon, 18 assists, 14 goals, 32 points in 17 games. Cale Makar, 23 points in 17 games. Marty Necas, 20 points, including 10 goals. This is a tough team to beat. McKinnon, Letkinen, and Necas are the top line. Brock Nelson, first time he'll be facing the Islanders, with Ross Colton and Gavin Brindley on either side of him on the second line. Jack Drury centers Gabriel Landeskog and Victor Olofsson on the third line. And Zakhar Bardakov centers Parker Kelly and Taylor Makar on the fourth line. Devin Taves and Cale Makar, a great top pair. Josh Manson and Brent Burns still going at the wrong side of 40. He's on the second pair. And then Samuel Girard and Sam Malinsky are the third defensive pair. Mackenzie Blackwood, Scott Wedgwood, they are the defensive pair, goaltending pair. Logan O'Connor on IR, Joel Kivaranta and Valerie Nichushkin are out of the lineup as of right now. So again, a big, big challenge on Sunday for the New York Islanders. And we will see, can they pull this off? Really becomes the ultimate question. And we'll see whether or not the Islanders can do it. This is a tough birthday of the day, but today is the 63rd birthday of former Islanders defenseman Jari Gronstrand. He is a native of Finland, 6'3", 195 pounds, a fifth-round pick of the North Stars, Minnesota North Stars, back in 1986. Started the 86-87 season with Minnesota, was traded to the Rangers, played there for the 87-88 campaign, played for Quebec, and then was dealt to the Islanders during the 89-90 season, played 41 games, 3 goals, 7 points, 27 penalty minutes, was with the Islanders for only 3 games the following season, and then headed back to Finland, Germany, and France to finish his career. Gronstrand only played 185 career NHL games, 8 goals, 34 points, and 135 penalty minutes. He played in 3 playoff games, all of those with the Islanders, and had 4 penalty minutes. One of his better games with the Islanders How about December 31st, 1989, a New Year's Eve game at the Old Aud in Buffalo? The Islanders going with Mark Fitzpatrick in goal, while Darren Pupa is in between the pipes for the Sabres. This game was all even. Well, actually, the Islanders are up 2-1 on a pair of goals by Pat LaFontaine. And then our Islanders' birthday of the day, Jari Gronstrand scores his first goal of the year. Brent Sutter with the only helper. That put the Islanders up 3-1. They go on to win 4-2. LaFontaine completes the hat trick. But for Jari Gronstrand, he had a goal. He was a +2. He was on his only shot of the game, and it was the game winner. Jari Gronstrand, one of the few players who played for both the Islanders and the Rangers, although only briefly for both, he is our Islanders' birthday of the day. Thank you for making Locked On Islanders your first listen today. For your second listen, check out the all-new Locked On NHL Game Night. Every game, every night until the Stanley Cup champion is crowned. Get local analysis on a national scale. You could find NHL Game Night on Locked On NHL, both on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. It's part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. If you have a question, a comment, maybe a topic you'd like us to discuss on a future episode, email us at lockedonislanders@gmail.com. If you leave your first name and where you're from, we're happy to mention you on the show when we discuss whatever's on your mind. You could follow the show on X at Locked On Isles. You could follow me, Gil Martin, on X at Ice Wars, NYRVSNYI. We'll keep you up to date on all things Islanders all year long, and I'm live tweeting during nearly every Islanders home and road game. So join me for some instant insight and analysis, and it's always great to talk Islanders hockey with you, game time or every time. Any everydayers, we are back on Monday, although we will have some short videos over the weekend after each Islanders game. So look out for those on YouTube. Have a great weekend, everybody. Stay safe. And of course, let's go Islanders.